Right now, I want to welcome from Legally Armed in Detroit, our friend Rick Ector. Rick, how are you, sir?
Hey, Cam, I am great, man. How are you doing today?
I am excellent. Thanks so much for coming on the program. It's good talking with you. And crazy story. I mean, there are no shortage of crazy stories in Detroit here. But according to WWJ, dozens of suspected killers, rapists, and others who were arrested by Detroit police over the past 4 years have been released because prosecutors didn't sign warrants. 21 murder suspects, 105 sexual assault suspects, 126 child abuse suspects, all released because the Wayne County prosecutor, the office did not file these warrants. And the prosecutor, Rick, says that, well, we just don't have the staff. You know, we can't do our job.
You know, it's a bad situation. Unfortunately, it's not a new one. Every so often we get a rehash of the latest version of the story. I think the posted story today even acknowledged that the data that they were capturing for the story goes back 4 years. But at least annually, we see like a ritualistic dance between the Wayne County prosecutor and the Wayne County executive with regards to funding. You know, our prosecutor, she argues that she doesn't have the money, she's losing staff, she run the risk of not covering all the courts and that they're underpowered. And then in the paper today, I saw for the first time where I saw that there was a complaint that they're accusing the police department of not investigating the matters far enough and that they're wasting a lot of time sending it back over to the Detroit Police Department. And then I saw the quotes that the police chief, James Craig, made. He said, well, hey, you know, my job is to arrest suspects and submit the paperwork. So, you know, I really don't know what to make of it, man. It's clearly one, you know, both organizations pointing the finger at the other. I don't know if it's a lack of communication, a lack of priorities, but the end result is that there may be some individuals being back out on the street, you know, who can go on and commit other heinous crimes to members of society, man. So, you know, that's the ultimate loser. And, you know, I tell folks constantly, you know, these type of things that have been known to happen, it's a situation now. By all means, do whatever you need to do to be safe. You know, be aware, keep your head on a swivel, make good decisions, and get a gun and learn how to legally carry it.
You know, when stories like this come out, Rick, do you get calls? Because, you know, as Chief James Craig said, and we talk with Chief Craig on this program on a fairly regular basis. You know, he said, I don't have the luxury of saying, well, I don't have enough officers to do the job. I have fewer officers today than when I got started, but I can't say we don't have enough people. That's not an option. And he points out that, you know, the police can do so much. When the arrest has been made, they turn over the case to the prosecutor, and that's where at that point the police can do no more unless they, you know, go back and make an arrest if somebody ends up on the street again, which apparently is happening here. You know, it seems to me that regardless of, as you say, you know, the staffing issues, and we know that there are all sorts of financial issues within Wayne County beyond just Detroit. If you're a Detroit resident and you're hearing, well, I'm sorry, we don't have the staff, for whatever reason, we're putting these suspected violent criminals back out onto the streets, Rick, I'm giving you a call.
Yeah, and you know what? It wasn't, you know, I actually was awakened by my cell phone. I'm one of those people that keep the cell phone close by when I'm asleep. And I got quite a lot of beeps out of it this morning. Apparently people were leaving me messages and posting, you know, this exact story on my Facebook wall about, you know, this particular story. Got quite a few calls. Got some people signed up right away for my last class of the year, you know, this upcoming Saturday. So, you know, definitely, you know, when these issues hit the media, it definitely translates into increased interest from the general public to learn how to protect themselves. And, you know, unfortunately for us, it's a constant story that gets recycled over and over again. But one possible, you know, benefit of this latest version coming out now is that we're in the throes of I like to refer to it as Detroit holiday robbing season, where robberies spike during this time period when bad guys are out looking for, what they appear to see as safe victims to rob. People are carrying larger amounts of cash, and, a lot of people get robbed now. So hopefully this story coming out, today, leads to some increased awareness, and hopefully people will take on a more active role and get into a class and buy a gun and learn how to use it and carry it so they can protect themselves and their families.
Well, I mean, we do know that throughout a lot of this year, there were a number of stories on a fairly regular basis, a number of armed citizen stories from Detroit, women like Paris Ainsworth defending themselves, moms defending their kids from home invaders. I haven't seen an armed citizen story in the local press there in Detroit over the last month or so, but I'm guessing, Rick, there are still a fair number of armed citizens and a growing number of armed citizens in Detroit.
Yeah, there's a fair number of us, and it grows literally every day. You could attribute, the lack of these self-defense stories for a variety of reasons. I guess criminals are being more selective in terms of who they operate, who they're trying to violate. When you try to select somebody for victimization, man, you got to do your homework. You got to look at somebody and study and think as to whether they're armed or not, But with each passing day, there'll be more and more of us in the community, and we'll continue to protect those who don't. Obviously, there's still some people at risk. And when you mention folks like Paris Ainsworth, man, her story was awesome. Grandmother was shot several times, and she returned fire and hit her two assailants. And, they all met up at the hospital, Awesome story. She saved her life. She defended herself. Active gun user. She said that she practices regularly. Man, role model for everyone in the city of Detroit.
There you go, Rick. Listen, man, I appreciate you coming on the program. It's always a pleasure getting a chance to spend some time with you. Hope we can do it again, sir.
Definitely. And if I don't talk to you before the end of the year, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you and yours and the rest of the guys on the crew, John, Pop, Cam, and Eric. And I guess there's a new guy, Kyle, today, right?
Well, we do have a new guy. Well, he's not new today. Kyle's been with us here in Farmville for a few months now. But a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you as well, Rick. Thank you so much, sir, and we look forward to talking again very soon.